Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the VICKI BOUTIN design team, and today I want to show you a layout that is all about the rainbow and actually tags. And we're going to create a banner and we're going to create a rainbow and going to mix them together for this layout. So I'm going to start with some foundation paper and our crayons, and this background is something similar to what Vicky has in one of the pre-made mixed media paper pads from the newest collection, but I wanted something that was a little bit higher off the page. The one Vicky has goes right in the middle. I want it to be right at the top of the page because I want to create a banner with a rainbow background. So for this, again, I'm going to use our crayons, and you're going to see that I scribbled our crayon on a piece of acrylic. Actually, what I'm using is the cutout of the foundation paper, the cover. So all I did is scribble the lightest yellow crayon with the second, there's two tones of yellow, one that's really light and bright, and there's another one that has a tinge of orange. So I mix them together, and you're gonna see that I'm just gonna start by sections. So I'm adding a little bit of those two crayons. I scribbled them, diluted them with water, and literally I'm gonna add a little bit. You're gonna see that I'm gonna kiss it a little bit with the plastic just to kind of spread the color, and then I'm gonna add splatters, and I'm gonna lift up the paper and lightly tap it on my table so that I create that drip. So I'm gonna work this idea pretty much through the entire width of the page. Now the key here, and you're gonna see, is that I don't clean the color. I'm gonna just do little sections or little bit of color just so that I have enough. And there's a tiny little bit left over on the palette, and I'm gonna use that to continually building up the color so that I create a smooth transition of the colors. And you're gonna see, remember how I started with the yellow? I did not clean whatever was left over. Instead, I added a little bit of the orange art crayon to it and a little bit of the red art crayon, and I get that really vibrant orange. So I'm gonna and I'm not stopping in between. It's a continuous video, so this is gonna be the longest part of my process, and I'm just gonna continue adding the color. By doing it in one consecutive motion, I'm allowing the colors to mix together and create a very organic, very nice transition of the colors. So you're gonna see that I'm just stretching. I'm not cleaning what's in my leftover in my sheet. Instead, I'm gonna build upon that. So I'm adding a little bit of the fuchsia crayon, and that's gonna give me that corally tone. So I'm just gonna continue from the left to the right. I'm working that way. And again, I'm just adding a little bit of the diluted crayon. I am mixing it with the one I had before, and then literally I'm just lifting the paper, swishing the paper around just to have the colors, or the liquid in this case, kind of mixed together, and then I'm tapping it lightly, like kind of lifting it towards me, tapping it on the table to create that drip. That's the way I'm gonna work all the colors. Now that I have the fuchsia, you're gonna see how the colors, like I said, I am not cleaning my acrylic sheet in between. I am working with whatever I have on top of it. So you're gonna see that I went from yellow to orange to more of a coral tone, and I'm going into the fuchsias. So the next color is gonna be a violet, and for that I am gonna bring the violet crayon, and you're gonna see that along the way I'm bringing a piece of paper towel just to soak up the excess liquid. I don't want it to stay in the paper for that long because it's gonna soak and create that valley. So whatever I see quite a bit of water, I'm just gonna kind of lightly touch the paper to the water so it soaks it up. So now I'm going again into the violet. I'm working on whatever I had left over before, and that's just gonna create a smooth transition of color. Again, I scribbled the crayon, added a tiny bit of water, diluted, and I'm adding it onto the page. You're gonna see here that I'm gonna lift up the paper, kind of swish the paper around a bit so that the colors mingle and mix together, and then slowly I kind of put it towards me, lifted the paper towards me, and that automatically is gonna create that drip. And then I'm gonna continue working. The next color, I went into the cool section, pull out the purple crayon, and I'm just adding a bit of that with a little bit of the darkest blue, just so that I start cooling off the tones. And again, I'm not cleaning my sheet in between. I'm working with whatever's there. and then I'm just creating this deep, I went from like a warm violet to a cool purple, and then I'm gonna work into the blues. Now here's in a place that you're gonna see that I'm gonna clean up a tiny bit, not even, it's just a tiny bit, the excess purple, because I want to lighten up the blue. So I clean up a tiny bit of the purple, but I continue working with that, and I'm adding the lighter shade of blue, and you're gonna see that I'm gonna add even the lightest shade of blue just to lighten up the blue. Once I have that, again along the way I am dripping, or not dripping, sorry, I am drying the drips of the extra water that is in the drips with a piece of paper towel. Like I said, I'm gonna keep working on the blue. I'm just gonna lighten it a little bit more so it kind of kills all the reddish tone that's coming from the purples, and then I'm gonna go into the teals. So I'm gonna, into the blue that I created, I add a little bit of the teal crayon, and it's gonna give me that greenish tone, and I love that. That's like a blue Hawaiian, which is one of my favorite colors. But once I have that, I realized that I need to bring more blue just because it's so short, and my idea is I want to have really in that blue area, that's where I want to add my picture, because I have a picture that I have a few pictures in mind, and all of them I think are gonna pop in that edge, so I need to stretch the blue. So you're gonna see that I'm just mixing a little bit more of the color on another piece of plastic. I have another separate because I want more of a pure blue in that area, so I just mix a little bit of the light blue and the medium shade of blue. These are all from the cool set, and I added there, but again I'm gonna lift up the paper, kind of swish it so it just doesn't look like a blue blob, but instead it kind of brings some of the other colors. And just towards the end I added a little bit of the green crayon just to make it more into that green tone, not just teal. And then I'm gonna kind of bring some of that green and mix it with a little bit of that ochre tone that comes from the neutral set, and I'm gonna add it towards the left of the yellow just to complete my rainbow. Kind of think of it going in a circle. So again, simple, super simple. Once I added my green, I realized that I needed to add a little bit more yellow. So you're gonna see that instead of mixing it on a sheet of acrylic that I'm using, I'll bring a separate one, and I'm just gonna start building some of the yellow and some of the orange. It just needs to make it a little bit longer, not so short. So I'm just gonna add a few more drips, kind of going down the page, and then that's about it. This, like I said, I speed it up because it was one single take, and my camera takes around 25 minutes to half an hour of tape, like one single shot. I did not stop in between. I work all together, and if you see, there's a really nice transition of the colors, and that's because I work with one color and just used it as a base for the next one, and so on, and I did not stop. So I was able to, when I added the watercolor, in this case to my foundation paper, I was able to kind of switch the colors together and create a nice and soft transition. All I'm doing right now is just going with the pure color just to accent some of the areas, like I did with the blue, like I did with the yellow and the orange. And then the secret, I'm gonna set it aside to dry on its own, because I want the page to be one flat and to be completely dry for the next step. And I'm not gonna add that much more mixed media. I'm just gonna add a few accents. So I am bringing this stamp set, and this stamp set, if I'm not mistaken, is either from Color Kaleidoscope or Field Notes, either one of them. But I'm gonna bring the metallic ink pad, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of those hatch crosses to certain areas. A lot of this is gonna be covered, and it's just, I'm not gonna say it's unfortunate because I knew it was gonna be covered by banners, but it's gonna create a nice background. Now the little gold crosses that I'm adding in this case right now, some of them are gonna be covered. You're gonna see just some accents, but it wasn't as gold as I wanted it to be. So instead I'm going to bring a little bit of the gold glaze. I'm going to dilute the gold glaze with some water, and I'm just going to add a few splatters of the gold glaze right in the areas where I added the little crosses, because I wanted just more of the metallic look that I did not achieve with the ink pad. So instead I'm going to go with some gold glaze. You're going to see that, remember what I said, my tag is going to be in the blue area, so I'm going to elongate, or in this case I'm going to add more splatters at the bottom of the blue line. So I'm gonna set that aside to dry completely, and while that's drying I'm gonna start working on this idea. And the idea came from the mini tag die cut set from the collection. There's a whole bunch of tags, and like I said before, I love mini books, but I'm not one to build one. I'm a traveler's notebook girl, so I already work on a mini book on a regular basis. So instead, I'm gonna use those tags to create my banners. So I'm using that cream one, and that's what I said. I think that cream paper with the color, because we're at the sea, we're at the beach with my mom and my sister, my daughter. My daughter. I think it's gonna look great in that blue area. That's why I elongated that. So outside of the camera, I went and looked for papers and pieces of ephemera that kind of match the tones that I have in the background. The big ephemera arrow comes from the icon pack. You're gonna see that I'm bringing that piece of paper is actually from the 6x8 paper pad. I love the fact that has the pink and it has some flecks of purple and navy and white. So I just created a little banner from the piece of paper. I'm gonna cut again from the 6x8. There's a little orange frame that says The Good Life, and that's gonna fit right into the orange part. It might be more in towards the coral. I didn't want to bring that much red. Instead, I'm gonna put it there. I had a fussy cut one of the orange flowers, and then I went looking for something that was kind of on a reddish tone, and I remember that green arrow also has one that's like kind of reddish and fuchsia. So I'm gonna bring it into the mix. You're gonna see it, not now, you're gonna see it as I keep building, that I went to look for that. And I also went into the 6x8 pre-made mixed media paper pad, because there's a whole bunch of papers that actually have some of the colors. So I went and actually cut one of the pre-made mixed media paper pads into a tag, and I cut it from one that had a little bit of orange and yellow, and that's gonna fit right into that area. So all I'm doing right now is just gonna put all of this together. So I added some foam adhesive behind my picture, and then I added some foam adhesive behind the tag just to give it some lift. And I'm using a little bit of gold waxed string to put it through my pieces. You're gonna see that I punch holes to some of the ephemera just to make sure that they hang from the banner, and I want those curvatures. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna build my layout by putting the string through everything and kind of creating that curvature. Kind of looks like there's tangled string along the banner pieces. So just to keep the banner string in place, I'm gonna staple it onto the layout, and I'm gonna, in a way, kind of color block everything. That's my idea. So you're gonna see that little banner that I cut from the pink paper, it's gonna be kind of tucked behind the large tag that has the picture, and I found these little holes, like, you know, the punch holes, the what do you call it, hole reinforcers, I think they're called. I had an old Heidi Swap collection that had a whole bunch of them, so it came in handy. I'm gonna punch holes to the little frame so that the frame hangs from the string, and I'm gonna take advantage of the orange to bring some flowers. I think I gotta bring in a tropical feel to this page, and because I have, it's like, you know, my daughter, my mom, and I think it's perfect place to add some flowers. Here's when you're gonna see that I'm gonna bring the little vellum arrow, and that matches the green one, but it's in red and fuchsia, so it's a perfect color to go there. And then you're gonna see that piece of paper that I cut from the 6x8 story, I'm gonna actually go ahead and create a tag out of it, and that's gonna sit right in that area where I have the transition between the yellow and the orange. I'm gonna bring another flower into it, and you saw how I created my tag. I just cut a small triangle from the top, then use the same triangle, kind of flipped it so that it makes it a symmetrical tag. And then I'm gonna bring that little chipboard flower again, that just to bring some of that orange tone to there. And then I wanted to bring something green, but I didn't want to make it so heavy because it's just gonna take the entire page. So instead I went and found this little leaf ephemera piece, and just had some flecks of green and blue. So I'm just gonna kind of tuck it behind the tags and then just keep it in place with some glue. And you're gonna see that I staple again the string just to keep it in place. And that's about it for like the major construction of the banner. Then it's just I'm gonna add a few more pieces. You're gonna see that I add some foam adhesive behind the tags just to keep everything in place. And then I'm gonna add a few pieces just to embellish the tags, nothing major. One of the things that I brought was there's a little card in the icon pack that has a flag that says going wherever the wind takes me. I'm not gonna use the card with that, but I can use the flag. So I just cut the flag and I'm gonna put it right behind the flower, and it kind of spans through the through the tags, and it brings some of that red that I have there. I bring some of the pink flowers just because of repetition, and the flowers I want to bring more of that pink, so I'm going to put it at the other edge of that orange Polaroid frame. Then I'm gonna bring that circle that says the scenic route again, just because I want to bring some create a little cluster on my picture. I added, these all come from the tablet. I'm gonna add that little piece of washi that says take note, and then I'm gonna bring some more circles after just to get all of this together. But that's pretty much all that's gonna be at the top of my page. Now you're gonna see that for the bottom I was thinking, how am I gonna put my title? I had a few ideas, and then I realized that I needed to bring some of that rainbow to the bottom, but I didn't want to add watercolor. I wanted something flat. I don't want to kind of twist it. So I went into the washi tape, and the washi tape here has all these little triangle formations, which reminds me of the corners of the tag. So I'm going to use that. So I run it at the bottom of the page. I'm going to say I left maybe an eighth of an inch from the bottom, and then on top of it I'm going to run the other washi tape that says little moment or little details, I believe it says, or little moments, and I'm going to run it right on top of that. The vacation mode ephemera piece comes from the icons ephemera piece. I'm going to use one of the geotags. A trip to remember, that's from the sticker sheet. And then I went into the small albums because it has that teal look, and it's right at the area where I'm adding my title. So I'm going to add my lines of journal in the little note there, and then I'm just going to create a big cluster at the bottom of the page that is going to balance the top of it. So it needed that washi tape kind of to anchor the page, and it needed that large title to balance the top, and that's pretty much it. All you're gonna see me add is I'm gonna add that sticker there that says happy place comes from Color Kaleidoscope, and then I'm just adding these little circles with the star that's from it's from the latest collection from Let's Wonder, and I added a few more circles just to bring some of the colors that I have on the background, and that's about it. I love how this turned out. I know that I'm gonna hear some of you say that I cover all the work at the back, and it doesn't bother me. It just creates a really nice background for all the color that I'm adding. I love how this turned out. It was super fun to put together. Like I said, I spent more time creating the embellishments at the background, and the key to creating the background is to work continuously without stopping, so that you can build the colors based on start with one color and base the rest of the colors on that color. That's pretty much how I created that smooth transition, and I hope you try it. As always, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. I would love to help you. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to check out Vicki's stuff. I know most of the stuff is sold out, and when you see her new collection, you're gonna love it because it's amazing. But this one is so worth it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you soon, guys. Take care. Bye bye.